Try describing Swiss Army Man to someone who has never heard of it. It's an interesting experience. You may say something to the effect of how it's about this guy who is stranded on a desert island and stumbles upon a dead body that looks like Harry Potter, which also happens to have magical farting powers and can be used for various purposes, such as starting fires or emitting fresh water from its mouth. It sounds ridiculous because it is ridiculous, yet the execution, for the most part, is fantastic. In Swiss Army Man, Paul Dano's character, Hank, is stranded in an undisclosed location. It really doesn't matter. All we know is that he is lost and far away from home, and after failing to commit suicide, he stumbles upon what initially appears to be no more appealing than any old rotting corpse. Hank quickly realizes, though, that this is something far more special and, more importantly, useful than just some dead body. This thing is still sort of a person, just one with really weird abilities. For example, if you need fresh water, it can spew that from its mouth. Or if you need locomotion, it farts with enough force to get moving. It is essentially a Swiss Army Man, a multi-purpose dead body. And so, of course, Hank doesn't hesitate to put it to use, as both a means to survive and get back home, and while in the process, a very strange friendship forms between the two. And I guess if I had to pick one coherent thesis or a driving idea behind all the madness that is Swiss Army Man, it would be friendship. To me, this movie kind of operates as a gentle reminder of all the simple and innocent things that bring childhood friends together, like candy, or playgrounds, video games, or movies even. I'll admit that I got teary-eyed more than once in the first two-thirds of this movie. That initial hour and 15 minutes or so, in my opinion, is just some absolutely brilliant indie filmmaking and some of the sweetest, tenderest storytelling I've come across in a really long time. I mean, if you can let loose alongside the film itself and not take yourself or its story too seriously, it really is a blast to watch and will pluck on every heartstring that you possess. There's something just so innocent and playful about it all. Unfortunately, though, the last 20 minutes or so make a really awkward tonal shift and things just stop being fun. All that lighthearted playfulness just suddenly evaporates to leave us with this really clunky and indecisive final act. I wasn't sure if I should be expecting a message that is serious and heavier than the content that had preceded it so far, or if I was supposed to be laughing and all of a sudden I just wasn't connecting with the humor anymore. Now, some people may have not had the slightest problem with it, and I'll admit that plenty of films have ended much worse. But to my eyes, I just think they didn't know how to conclude it all. The first two acts just felt to be racing towards some brilliant idea, or at least some major event that would somehow tie it all together. I was so positive that the ending of this movie was just going to blow my mind and give me something to chew on as I walked out of the theater. So either the filmmakers just didn't have that intention to begin with and I somehow misread where the first two acts were going, or they just struggled to find a point to all its craziness. And maybe some viewers won't even mind that, and I can respect that. But personally, I felt that the movie was setting me up for something to think about, and it kind of just let me down in that regard. But it's not easy to craft a solid ending for any story, and I can only imagine how much more difficult it would be in this case. And I don't personally need to love every bit and piece of a movie in order to love a movie. So while Swiss Army Man may have a very mild ending, the first two-thirds are just so unique and so much fun to watch. The whole exploration of childhood friendship is just so rich with emotion and humor and gentleness. There's a special kind of grace to all its juvenilia and silliness, and you really can't help but just smile the whole time. Both of these performances by Radcliffe and Dano are excellent. I mean, these guys were cast perfectly together, and they just play off one another so naturally. I would go as far to say that Swiss Army Man is one of the better technical achievements of 2016 so far, with both mechanical and digital effects peppered all throughout the film, many of which just get bigger and crazier and more satisfying as the movie progresses. And so, despite what I personally view as an unexciting final act, Swiss Army Man is still worth every bit of your time, at least to witness the sheer inventiveness of its first two sections, along with its hilarious depiction of childhood friendship.